They're pretty fly, aren't they?
Yeah. So what, you don't have gold microphones?
No, we don't. We just have these like little boom microphones that, I mean, they're the same ones we had at Texas Fly Fishing and Brew Festival last year.
Yeah, well,
Well, yeah, y'all
Gold.
had, yeah.
this is the
There's
finest plated gold plastic that China can produce.
They're
Nice.
really semi-nice.
Yeah, you don't want to get too close to them though. They'll turn your face green.
Come from China, they might have COVID.
Yeah, no, possibly.
Hmm.
they
And we're
they
here with
definitely
Clay,
have at
so,
one
yeah,
time.
Yeah.
Well, we actually, I don't know if Clay or any of y'all still listen to my podcast or anything, but
Everyone.
last week we didn't put out an episode, and the reason being is the episode before there were suspicions that I had COVID, but it was not confirmed.
Okay, I saw on Facebook that you guys didn't put it out because you had a COVID outbreak, but now we're finding out that that you were the vector. You're the super spreader.
I was the vector of transmission between my friend group for the podcast.
Nice.
But to my credit, I asked beforehand that, like, leading up to it. So a lady came into work sick. We actually had 3 people come into work sick the Monday prior. And by Monday afternoon, they had all left and tested, and their initial test all said negative, but then I guess they tested again Tuesday and it was all positive. So then the president of my division said, well, we're going to just shut the office down for the week. Everyone's going to work from home. We're going to do a deep clean today, being Tuesday, and then a deep clean on Friday, and then everyone can return back to work the following Monday. And so I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. So I come home, I start working from home and everything, and I feel fine all of Tuesday, all of Wednesday. Thursday, I start feeling like there's some drainage and like allergies, which isn't like odd because the weather was changing down here. I'm down in San Antonio, so it stays warm majority of the year, and we get like 3 weeks of winter. So the weather had just switched to cold, and normally when that happens, I do start getting like some sinus stuff going. So that's what I thought of it as. And Friday morning, I was like, or that Thursday, I said, I'm going to go try and find a test just to kind of be sure. Well, I got online and nowhere around here was available to test for at least another week. And I said, if that's the case, then the whole thing's going to be done anyway. There's no point in me testing. So I reached out to my podcast group because we're recording on a Friday that week, and said, hey, so Monday we had people come into work sick. I'm not feeling too great. I don't know what it is. What do y'all want to do? I said, I can sit in the garage with y'all and social distance. I can zoom in on the podcast, or I can omit myself from this podcast completely today. And everyone in the group said, no, it's fine. Let's all get together, because everyone had been vaccinated.
Right.
For the most part. The one who said, I'm not going to say who all is and who all isn't in my group. I don't know. And it doesn't really matter to me.
No.
But one of the guys was like, no, we should all just get together. It'll be fine. So we all come in, and
Is that such a guy thing too?
Oh, yeah,
no, it's fine. Come on, let's just do it.
Virus. Can't even see it.
so we all got together that night, and by the following Monday, my buddy Landon, one of the hosts of the podcast, tested positive for it. And I was like, you know what? I kind of wonder. My fiance was able to find some home test. So I took one of those, and sure enough, I popped positive. And then Zach, one of the other hosts of the podcast, later on that week ended up popping positive. And then Evan, our editor, also popped positive, who was all in the room with us. So we all ended up getting sick the next week. So we couldn't get together to record a podcast because it was all together, but also kind of staggered and how we all got sick. So we just didn't get an episode out, but we did record one yesterday, actually, that should come out this Tuesday.
Sweet.
So, ladies and gentlemen, our special guest, patient 0.
That's right.
The
Yeah, so-
Ebola monkey of San Antonio.
Yeah. So do you always eat raw bat, or do you sometimes do you cook it, or
Now that's a funny story actually too.
The COVID king of Castroville. Ladies and gentlemen, here he
It's
is.
not. I have been known, and it's the running joke in my workplace, that every time I get sick, it's because I have decided to eat some sort of wild game and not cook it for
Right, yeah.
So the very first time it was a wild hog, and I processed it out myself, and I made sausage and everything and cooked them on the Traeger and got the temperature, I thought, all the way up, but something turned south on me real quick. That was the worst feeling I think I ever had in sickness wise. Way worse than the COVID.
Was that trichinosis?
I 100% thought I was trick positive at that point. I was not. It was just a real bad case of food poisoning or something like that.
Okay. Okay.
Well,
I mean, we've covered a lot of ground in our banter.
Yeah.
I
we
will
have.
say that.
Yeah,
We've-
we're still in
We've
banter.
made some strides. Should we,
We
tell
should-
the people who we're bantering with?
No, we can do that in a minute. Should wait? Do we cast our faith first, or and then introduce?
I mean, it's up to you. You run the formatics of this.
He's
just
got
talent.
his notes ready. Let's go ahead and
We got to strike while the iron's hot. If you just got
That's-
stuff ready.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Clay, are you ready to cast your
Break
faith?
out
I am.
banter and cast
I
your
am.
faith.
All right.
All right. So while I was thinking of how I could cast my faith, it came to me that this group is how I cast my faith. This group I founded with the support of my friends that believe in it enough to facilitate its growth. That is how I cast my faith, with a renewed spirit after being reminded of the message of Psalm 133. Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. Now, combine that with the lyrical genius of Ted Nugent and this excerpt from the song Fred Bear. The spirit of the woods is like an old good friend. It makes me feel warm and good inside. I knew his name, and it was good to see him again, because in the wind, he's still alive. And both of those, combining those two it took a stroke of genius on my part. I will admit, and it's
Man,
okay.
Here's what I'll tell you. You definitely do. You cast your faith through this group. There's no doubt about that. But I am constantly, and I mean this 100% genuinely, constantly amazed by Clay. Because first of all, no one, while enjoying Psalm 133, is thinking about Ted Nugent except Clay. I mean, the guy's range, like we were just talking about earlier, is unbelievable.
It is,
He will
yeah.
cover a lot of ground on it.
He really will. I don't know if that's a compliment.
I meant it very complimentary.
Yeah. All right, Clay. Thank you.
You are
that was-
welcome.
that was
And
You're
I
great.
gotta
welcome.
say, he was prepared. He had written something out. Did you see that? I was-
Yeah.
Well
I don't know what to
enunciated.
say.
Mhm.
It was
Yes.
well
No,
enunciated.
it was well
It
delivered.
was.
Yep,
I
yep.
mean,
You didn't say anything about having good drinks.
yeah. There
Uh,
was
Light
no-
on the gospel.
There's
We were light on the
It's
gospel.
Sasquatch sex. It was candidly one of your best performances.
Thank
really
you.
was.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Wow. Can you follow that up by introducing our guest?
I would absolutely love to. Joining us today is my brother, fraternity brother, and host of one of my favorite podcasts, Honey Hole Hangout, Cliff Cowart. He is from Georgia, so he has just experienced his first national championship football win in his lifetime, I believe. And we're really glad to have you here.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So, this could relate to fly fishing, but I also know how much you love hunting, and just being out in the outdoors. So when I ask you this question, you can pick either subject, whether it be fly fishing or hunting. But what got you into it? And Yeah. What got you into it?
Well, to get my introduction into the outdoors doesn't really have to go either fly fishing or the hunting route. If you those that do listen to the podcast know that I am kind of more of the hunter of the group. I do enjoy fly fishing, but if you stacked up like going duck hunting or deer hunting and gave me an opportunity to do that and fly fish, I'm picking the hunting route all day long.
Absolutely.
But my life in the outdoors started very young. I grew up in a rural area of West Georgia, right on the Alabama line. And I grew up with a cattle pasture, woods, and all that like behind me. That's all that was around. So I was fortunate enough. This was back when people actually knew their neighbors, so you could kind of get access to all those properties around you. And they allowed me to go back there and shoot squirrels. They allowed me to ride my four-wheeler back there. Constantly was back there playing in the creeks and just being a good old boy growing up. I kind of got away from it all about high school. Kind of started playing Xbox, and so I wasn't outdoors as much then. And once I got back into college, and right after college, I had a buddy who I was working with who was a fly fisher, and I had grown up spin casting and traditional fishing, so to speak, bobber and worm for bluegill and trout lines for catfish and stuff like that. But where I was from, I knew no one who fly fished. It was a foreign concept to me. I had heard about it and was kind of interested in it. So when I had this friend that I was working with who I knew was a fly fisher and is now actually a guide with River through Atlanta, I begged him to take me out and teach me. So for my 25th birthday, I believe, we planned a camping trip up to North Georgia and spent the whole weekend just camping and him teaching me how to throw a fly rod. And so from that moment, I was able to catch my first little rainbow. I have a picture of it on, I believe it's still on my Instagram, but he was probably like maybe 8 inches or so. They're smaller up there than a lot of places. The streams are smaller. I would say it was.
Look, don't blame this on the stream, Cliff. Okay,
Yeah.
you just caught a small fish.
You just, it's,
Don't make excuses for the water.
yeah, we've all done it. Just move on.
It was my first trout on the fly and first fish on the fly, and I was ecstatic after that. And I jumped in both feet, and where I was living at the time and working at the time, there was an Orvis store less than a mile away, so that was very dangerous and problematic to my budget.
Yeah, that'll
I
happen.
was able to,
Thank you, Orvis. We appreciate it.
Able to utilize them to learn and dive deeper into it, took their 101 course and all that. And then less than a year later, me and that guy and another 2 friends of us got a townhome up in Alpharetta, Georgia, which the Chattahoochee River flows right through. So we lived 3 minutes away from the river. So we would wake up, go to work early, get out of work early, drive up 400, go home, grab our gear, and then spend the rest of the evening on the river and then wherever we could find food after that. And so then 6 months later after that, I was told I could either find new employment or I could move to Texas. And I said, I'm going to Texas. So that's
what a fortunate break that was.
Yeah.
They gave me a list of other places I could go, but I chose Texas. I was always fascinated with it and wanted to see about it. Just kind of the outsider's perspective of Texas, it seems like it would have been a good fit for me in realms of outdoors, politics, everything that ensues and stuff. So I was like, yeah, I'll give Texas a shot. And I've been here ever since, little over 5 years now.
We're
So
happy to have you.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
actually been fishing, fly fishing in Texas longer than I was fly fishing in Georgia at this point.
Nice. And now you're working on guiding hunts.
I wouldn't say that I'm a guide by any means. I do work with a bird preserve, helping maintain that and making sure that clients have a good time. More often than not, I'm the designated bird cleaner. So I've gotten pretty good at cleaning chukars, pheasants, and quail and whole birds in under 2 minutes. So that's pretty good, especially when you're doing like 85 to 100 at a time.
Oh.
I just turn on podcast or listen to music and just sit in my closet, just ripping feathers and guts out.
Well, I'm sorry, in your closet.
In my closet, in like the bird cleaning closet that we have. There's a designated space that's like a large walk-in closet that has sink, sealer.
That makes more sense.
That does.
Okay.
That does.
I bet you're a real hit around your house.
Yeah.
Well, don't put it past me. I have been known to clean birds and gut other critters in the middle of my parking lot of my apartment complex.
Right. Right.
Your neighbors
Yeah.
love you.
Up until about 2 weeks ago, I actually had a gambrel hanging in the middle of my garage too.
Good Lord.
Of course. Well,
Oh,
it's
don't
been-
mind
it's been
him. That's
cool.
the Georgia
Right.
boy.
Yeah.
It's been cool
I
outside.
know.
That's nice. It's good.
Oh,
Well, I mean,
Okay.
we were talking about it before we got into podcasting officially in our
Mhm.
banter, but really, this is part of the reason we're doing all this is because we were fortunate enough at one point to be invited on to the Honey Hole show, and that kind of obviously gave Clay some sort of outrageous sense of false confidence that we could somehow pull this off
right.
on our
Yeah.
own.
Mhm.
Because unlike us, they're professionals and they've got hundreds of episodes.
Far from
Yeah.
it. We make $0. We lose money doing
Oh,
it.
well,
Hey, we're all in the same boat.
Right.
Then.
Well, so,
But we'd like to say
I'm
for all
not-
the podcast sponsorship spots are available. if anyone
yeah,
out there would
yeah,
like-
their podcast, our podcast, we're
Whoever.
yeah. Whatever. So how did you guys get into the podcast game? I mean, and to the point that you had a booth at the festival. Like, how'd that happen?
So I'll start with how we got into it. And it's kind of funny, but that you say Clay coming onto our podcast made him want to do a podcast, because that's kind of how we started too. So I had about 4 years ago, I took up archery as a pastime during a time in my life, and met some great guys at my local archery shop here in San Antonio, Mission Ridge, that I befriended, and they were kind of helping me guide me through the process, what I needed to learn, helping me build my first bow, all this stuff. And one of those guys at the time had a podcast called On the Move Archery, and he invited me on to that to do an episode, perspectives of a first-time archer or a beginning archer or a new archer. I forgot the actual title, but that along those lines. And after that, me and my friend groups, we had been talking for a while about starting one back when I worked at Orvis, and we all hung out at the shop down here in San Antonio. We thought it would be kind of cool because we always have good banter back and forth. We thought about doing a podcast back then. I got on that podcast, and then I was like, hey, let's actually do this. I kind of put it to the side. Landon picked it up, and during COVID was like, hey, him and Zach were like, hey, let's just do this. And so they got together, they created a YouTube channel, LLC for the business. They asked me to come on it as a hunting perspective and comedic relief. And then we got together, talked about doing a podcast. I had a buddy who had a podcast that has since disbanded. I offered to buy his equipment or put him in contact with Landon to buy his equipment. And that's what we did. And then from there, we've been rocking and rolling pretty much weekly, except for last week when we were all sick or during major holidays when we're all traveling. We've recorded a weekly podcast since August 2020. So we're going on our second year right now.
Which is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is. It is.
Because I'm not sure we're going to make it through another 3 recordings at most
No,
with this one.
probably not.
How many episodes do y'all have right now?
This will be episode 17.
So you're already above the average for most podcasts.
Oh,
I
wow.
think the statistic is most podcasts fail or quit within their first 10 episodes. Like, I think it was like 70% or something. It was a ridiculous number.
I could have told you that we were above average.
And,
Um,
and in our
that's pretty
defense,
honest.
we
Yeah.
were pretty intoxicated for most of our first 10 episodes. so
Yeah, I
we
know.
really
We don't really know what happened in those.
Well, I definitely have podcast episodes where that's the case with us too.
No, and we have, and you've probably experienced this. We've actually recorded some that we were like, we can't
Not a
publish
chance.
this. No.
Well, y'all are affiliated with the church,
Yeah.
so that does
you've-
put a little bit of a
But you've heard what we put out affiliated with the church.
And like being affiliated with the PTA or my neighbors or
Right.
my job,
Yeah.
all those affiliations, some of
We-
the stuff we've recorded just couldn't
No,
be put
no.
out.
We
just couldn't be-
definitely,
yeah.
definitely could not have done the doggy tender episode for sure.
yeah.
I don't even know.
Yeah. Cliff
I don't know
does.
what he's talking about. Is this one of yours that he's talking about?
We had a guy one time, or one of the other hosts who has since dropped out of hosting, but is just focusing on the articles and the website side of stuff. In one of our early episodes, made a comment that he would like a doggy dating site, but he meant it as like, so you can meet other people with dogs to like pet and play and have like doggy play dates. But I took it as a doggy dating site, and I said, buddy, you're no longer allowed around Hatch, which is my dog.
Yeah, there's
Well, don't get Clay started on his affinity for
It's just
Sasquatch. then, 'cause
No
it,
kidding.
it
Yeah.
can get uncomfortable
It
quickly.
goes, I mean, no, it just got uncomfortable just
Oh,
then.
yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Let's just say, so we can continue to broadcast these podcasts.
Yeah.
It's not that he's interested in discovering Sasquatch for scientific or outdoors reasons. It's that he has a different kind of interest in locating
Yeah.
Sasquatch.
It's
there was actually in the episode that's coming out, Zach, who does our Creature Watch segment, actually goes over a recent Bigfoot sighting that happened in Illinois.
oh
Nice.
mhm,
So
yeah.
that they do preparation for their Creature Watch segment.
We'll see. I wanted to rename it Squatch Watch.
So basically, we're just a
I like that
broadband
name.
version of the honey hole.
The thing
Oh,
is, yeah,
oh,
and
for sure.
oh yeah, no, we've ripped off a lot of their stuff. Well, this is the thing. Clay's like, I really want to do a podcast. I'm really into podcasts now. How many podcasts have you listened to? One.
No, it was two. It was
Two.
them and Hank Patterson.
Oh, the old Hank Patterson podcasts were great.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He's fallen flat here lately.
Yeah, I think he
Well, so
That's
when
a
he
pretty
did,
good research project. Them and Hank.
yeah.
when he did his new podcast, the Outdoor Misadventures,
Mhm.
there was a time frame where he was like finding the most crunchiest like corn nut snacks and eating them
Yeah,
all
yeah.
night
Yep.
long. And it drove me up the wall to the point I could not listen to him anymore. And I
You
had
listen to a guy eat
unplug.
corn nuts.
He would. I mean, well,
Oh,
yeah,
it's
it was
real
just
messed
a
up.
shtick,
It's
right?
real
Of like,
messed
let's
Reminds me of
find
the
the
scene
worst.
in
Yeah.
Kingpin when Bill Murray looks at Woody Harrelson and goes, "You're gonna have to go eat that in the park."
I couldn't do it. I have friends that still listen to him and they found it hilarious. And I was like, no, it's driving me up the wall.
It's like that Schmigadoon show that I thought was hilarious, and you couldn't handle it because the thing that makes it funny is that it is intentionally horribly annoying. You know, it's the Jim Carrey, what's the
It
most
was-
annoying sound in the world?
Yes,
You know, yeah.
it was so bad that it made me question our friendship. Like I almost called you and just told you we couldn't hang out.
Yeah, I can't.
anymore.
Yeah.
What show is that?
It's Schmigadoon. It's on Apple TV. It's so dumb. I mean, look, when this group tells you that something is dumb, it's dumb. Okay. And
Or it's maybe just so super intellectual that it's completely beyond.
Maybe that's
us.
what it is,
Maybe that's
yeah.
why I didn't get.
I thought
into
it was so it's the most ridiculous premise. It's this it's a couple and they go on this little couples retreat and they end up transported into this like magical world where basically they're living in like a 1940s musical. And so the townspeople just like will break out into song and it's so obnoxious but it's supposed to be. So like Keegan Michael Key is the husband or whatever in the group and he's so annoyed by the whole thing and his facial expressions just crack me up when they bust into song and he's trying to get them to stop. And I found it hilarious, but Kenneth just also found it really annoying. So it's worth at least one episode. You should watch it.
Not annoying. I wanted to end my life.
Yeah, Schmigadoon.
I'll try and look it up. I don't have Apple TV, so I might have to find someone who will let me use a password.
Yeah,
But,
Probably no one will let you use their password if you tell them you're going to watch Schmigadoon.
right. Yeah, just tell them you want to watch Ted Lasso. And
I'm too good a friend
yeah.
to let you do this.
Yeah.
And for those people watching on the video, it looks insensitive that I'm constantly staring at my phone. But as we're recording this, there's an epic football game going on
It's true.
that just went to overtime.
Oh, really? Okay.
I bet Nick will be super stoked.
Yeah,
He still talks about you all the time, Cliff.
Nick, your son,
Yeah. Yeah.
he's a cool kid. He was hilarious. He definitely made fly fishing and the fly fishing and brew festival very entertaining for me. And
I think that kid came home with things that he was supposed to pay for that were just given to him.
I can see that.
I think he just stole a lot of stuff.
I don't think he stole anything. I know I did give him a hat and
A buff.
maybe a buff. And I think I paid for the hat and Carson might have bought him the buff.
Yeah, but he also had your wallet. Did you not notice that?
I wondered when I got pulled over on my way home, I was like, I don't know where it's at, officer.
Well,
Knock on wood, that really didn't happen.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
well, you guys were one of the two that I invited. It was you and that other group, Alter.
Alter.
Yeah, had you guys up here at the parish hall for dinner that night, and our grill went out, and we ended up flat ironing or flat topping the steaks.
Well,
but
Flat top's always a good way to go
I mean,
anyway.
you can't.
Yeah.
If you got a flat
Yeah.
top, you got to use it.
yeah. But yeah, we really enjoyed having you guys up here that night and a little fellowship with both of y'all.
Hey, so
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. They wore me out playing soccer in the parish hall though.
oh yeah, they'll do that.
They did.
I remember that. Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
I'm always
15
thankful when someone will play soccer with my kid because I don't want to.
About 10-15 minutes in, I'm sitting there huffing and puffing. I was like, I gotta sit down, guys. I can't do this.
Here's the thing. I mean, that's my kid. He will play soccer 24 hours a day and not look tired. Like he might sweat, but yeah, he'll wear you. You gotta be careful.
Yeah.
So so what was y'all's take on the fly fishing brew festival? You feel like you got more listeners? Was it made some good introductions? Sat in a windowless room for 2 days and wanted to shoot yourself? I mean, where'd you come away from it?
I think that it was a overall positive experience for both me and Carson and the podcast as a whole. We were still fairly I still consider our podcast young, but we were newer into it. I think we had only been recording for like maybe half a year or so at that point. So we got to actually meet a lot of people who claimed they listened to us, and that was interesting. And then we made a lot of contacts and then did see a boost in numbers for a good little bit. I don't know if those people all still listen or not, but we did see an increase in numbers. But the whole purpose of us going up there was pretty much just to make connections anyway. And I feel like we did that, and thus made it a super successful event for us.
Cool. Very
And
good.
that was our first event, like trade show, that we had ever done as a group. And even then, only 2 of the 6 of us were even able to make it.
We noticed that the same. As a matter of fact, almost everybody that knew that came on the trips last year basically came from that show and our exposure.
That's good.
Yeah, it was really good for us.
Are y'all going back this year?
No, I'm working for Dagon that weekend, and then going down to the Houston fishing show to work for them.
Are you guys? Yeah, I mean, I'm planning on going. Are you guys gonna be at Trout Fest?
Yes, we are.
I think I might come down for that.
That's in our like our backyard. It's we talked about renting an Airbnb for us, so we all stayed there together, but then we were like, we don't want to spend any extra money, and it's a 30-minute drive.
Right.
So we all decided to stay in our homes and then just continuously drive up there because it's not far at all. I mean, that's our home waters that we fish for trout. It's a stone's throw away. But in my opinion, I don't know if my friends are actually texting me. The podcast group's texting me about the game right now. In my opinion, though, and I don't know if I should say it or not, but it's my opinion, so I'm going to, is I like Trout Fest better than the Texas Fly Fishing and Brute Festival. To me, I like the outdoor environment that Trout Fest has. It's in my neighborhood, so I know a lot more people, which always makes it a lot more fun. Both are very good events. I suggest traveling for both of them. But if I had to pick one or the other, it's Trout Fest for me.
Yeah, I was down there for Trout Fest. I mean, it must have been 6-7 years ago. Campbell was 2 or 3 years old. He's 10 now. So, it was great, you know, and that's, my parents live on the Guadalupe, so it's right by them too.
It's hard to beat a fishing event when it's located on a river.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's right
really
there.
is,
Because it's at Lazy L&L, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Lazy
He called
L&L.
you sir.
He did call me sir. You
And
two
they
should do
also-
well to notice that, by the way.
The Lazy L&L.
Yeah.
They
campground,
also have
Yeah, it is.
that is actually where I spent my bachelor party, was at the Lazy L&L campground.
All right.
Yeah. So
Um,
wear boots
sorry.
when you go to Trout Fest. That's all I'm saying.
Oh,
it's actually- But on Saturday nights at Trout Fest, they also have the Fly Fishing Film Festival come through. So you actually get to see all the films and stuff that were made this past year,
yeah. Well,
which is also kind of neat.
we're trying to do a showing
We
here.
are.
I've submitted
We
all
are.
of my paperwork. Will be, you know, obviously a bit later in the spring, but we're going for it here. You'll have to come up if we get it.
Yeah, that would be great. I think that we were looking into it, but decided not to. We have some other stuff cooking, a couple other irons in the fire right now. One major event we're working pretty diligently on, that we're hoping becomes a yearly thing.
Nice.
Nice.
When you have a big announcement to make, we'd like
Yeah.
to be the second show you announce it on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Well, if Clay listens, we announced it once and then we had to change our dates on it. So I don't want to talk about it again.
We do that all the time.
Yeah. And usually the 4 listeners already know about it. So
One of the 4 listeners will email us and let us know we messed up.
yeah. So,
This is habitual. Yes.
all right. Well, Cliff, I think we're gonna jump into
We're going into it.
I think we should go into it.
Do we need to hit the theme?
Let's hit the theme.
All right.
Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun. Squirrel Center
Watch
Watch
Center.
Center. I can give you tips on production value later.
I
You
mean,
need to just call me. So
It's obviously not just anyone can pull something together like that.
no.
Takes a lot of practice. Am I doing this one?
Yeah,
I have
this is
some
you.
stories.
This is you.
All right, so I did some research here for the Squirrel Watch, and I found several stories of interest. But I think the first one I want to tell you about is that there was a squirrel in North Dakota. Okay, so a hardier squirrel, right?
Okay.
A little bit more of a badass.
A
than the
corn-fed
Texas
squirrel.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that stowed 42 gallons of nuts inside of a man's Chevy Avalanche. The man had gone out of town. This was in Fargo, North Dakota, and the man had gone out of town for work for a 5-day trip. And when he returned home, a squirrel had hid 42 gallons of black walnuts, which is a large nut,
Yeah.
in every nook and cranny of this guy's truck. So I thought when I was reading the story, I immediately thought to Clay and how disturbed he was by like the $150 worth of damage that squirrels did to his roof. And that's what fueled his venom for the
Right.
squirrel. How would Clay have felt if he would have come home from a 5-day work trip to find that a squirrel had stowed 42 gallons of nuts in and around his vehicle?
Well, hold on. Here's the thing. Have you ever, and I suggest that you don't, but have you ever ridden in Clay's vehicle somewhere?
No, I try to avoid that.
I
at all times.
guarantee you there could be 42 gallons of black walnuts in that thing right now, and he has no idea. Okay.
There's
Funny
a little
that this is
rattle
y'all's
that I
story.
heard, but it's not bad.
There. Yeah.
Funny that this is y'all's story because while I was at home for Christmas, my stepmother had to go get a new car because she had a rat infestation, or it could have been field mice infestation, because they came into her car and actually built nest all through the engine bay and then like the air intake and all this other stuff.
Oh,
So
yeah.
she sold her
And so-
car because I'm not.
So she just threw that one away and got another one.
Yeah,
Like,
she's
just-
like, I'm not doing this. She went up and sold it and came back with one of the sport Broncos.
So this is a nationwide issue.
Yeah. It's,
Okay,
it's
this
an
is-
epidemic.
This is the squirrels and the rodents of the world trying to plant their flag on our territory.
Mhm.
And I don't believe aggression like this can stand.
No, that is why I take action. I shoot every one of them I see.
I also saw another story about a man that was shooting squirrels with a pellet gun in an urban
in
area
Houston.
that actually missed and injured a nearby driver in a vehicle.
Yeah.
And then also
Like
I thought that could be
That
Clay
could also be
at
Clay.
any
Yeah.
moment. Yeah. When he's wandering
So-
out in his front yard in his underwear with a grape flavored cigar.
Or in a mosaic IPA. Yeah.
Hey Jim, how you doing?
Man.
That sounds like a good time to me.
See,
So Cliff, so Clay gets on this squirrel kick after some squirrels did some damage to his house, and he was just like, I'm gonna make sure that no squirrel comes around here again. That was his goal, right? So he works hard. I mean, he still builds blinds. He's invested into German pellet guns or some crap, and he goes and he
He wouldn't
eradicates.
share the name
Oh,
of
yeah,
his
that's it.
ammo
Okay.
because he thought we were gonna buy him out.
Right on the first episode of our podcast. Like anyway, so he goes through. He still hasn't told me what it is. So he goes through this whole thing, and he finally gets it, and he has eradicated the squirrels from his area. But then he misses hunting for squirrels with his pellet gun, so he starts
Baiting them.
baiting them with what was it, pumpkins?
Pumpkins and
whatever.
peanuts.
Yeah, he got pumpkins and peanuts littered around his backyard.
Which
So
literally, if you knew anything about the squirrels that have to inhabit near Clay's house,
Mhm.
pumpkins and peanuts are not the bait to use.
No.
Right? It's like empty tall boy cans.
Yeah.
And
Grape
purple,
swishers,
grape
yeah,
swishers. If
yeah.
you've got that like little incense burning to
Uh-huh.
where they know that this is the place to be, they try to get a little nourishment out of the 3/4 empty tall boy can.
Right.
That's where I bring them in.
Yeah.
So are you allowed to discharge where you live?
No.
So I use a Gamma 22 break barrel
It's-
air rifle.
Still not allowed.
Huh?
Yeah.
That is
Like here?
100% illegal. You are
Like here-
breaking multiple laws.
It's still not allowed, huh? I'm not sure that's correct.
Yeah.
Me no
but
comprende.
it's a camo break barrel. Yeah.
Me no.
Because like in
Yeah.
San Antonio, we even have, it goes as far as we have what's called a missile law. So you can't even discharge a bow in your backyard for like target practice.
Oh wow.
Mhm.
You have to be in like a qualified range and all this other stuff in order to like just plink around with a bow. So that's curious. I mean, I think it's awesome that you're hunting squirrels in your backyard.
No, 100% illegal.
100% illegal.
Yeah, it's actually breaking hunting regulations. And
Yeah, I'm not. I'm
No,
not
I have a
condemning it. I
hunting.
think
I
it's
have a
cool.
hunting license.
you should perhaps read your outdoor annual, by the way.
I can't wait till the
I
game
can't-
warden shows up on your door.
Yeah.
I cannot shoot over my property line.
No, you are so wrong about all of this.
I would check your local. Yeah, I would check
Yeah.
your local like regulations, and it's probably going to be more of a municipality issue, not necessarily like a wildlife issue.
No, I've actually researched this, and it's both.
He's gone ahead and ordered the combo meal.
Yeah, yeah,
Fall
he's-
ranking.
Yeah.
But let me. What'd you do with the squirrels?
Great
Don't tell me
question.
you wasted
Great
them.
question.
So I have them all in my garage freezer, and we're going to turn them into flies. I have not
Wait,
turned
that's
them
just the
over to
pelt.
Freddie yet.
That's
Yeah.
just else. What'd you do with the meat?
Sir. I gave them to a gentleman that eats meat,
You
squirrel
did-
meat.
You did.
Hey,
not.
A gentleman
no.
that
No.
eats
Squirrel-
meat. That was a pretty vague explanation.
I'll go on record saying squirrel's pretty good. Don't.
Oh yeah,
I'll go on record saying I'm not surprised to hear you say that. But,
It's
uh,
definitely there's definitely like a mental disconnect of it, but it's not bad. And if you can take the legs, like
Yeah.
the back legs of them, and do them in like a cast iron skillet with a little bit of oil, like fry them
yeah.
and just toss it in like Frank's Red Hot sauce and make like
Buffalo
Squirrel.
squirrel.
thanks.
yeah.
I will say I am
Yes.
disconnected from
Yeah, I'm
eating
gonna say-
squirrel.
But I also want to just point out that Cliff just gave us that if we take a piece of meat and we deep fry it and douse it with hot sauce, then it's pretty good.
Tune in for more recipes from Cliff. Same thing. I'm going to try that same thing with chicken. See what happens.
Yeah.
Very similar.
You know, a lot of people call squirrel chicken of the tree.
Chicken is a treat. Oh, shit. Well, on that note,
Well, yeah, that's as good a place as
this is-
any
we're
to put a
gonna
bow on this thing.
Cliff, thank you so much for coming on, and we'll link
Tolerating
to
us.
we'll link
Yeah.
to Honey Hole Hangout.
Oh, for sure.
So you might gain a listener.
Hey,
And
hey.
yeah, I'll probably see you at Trout Fest. So see you then.
Yeah. So Clay's not going to Brew Festival. Are
I'll be
you?
there.
Mesquite.
Oh,
We'll-
yes.
we'll be there.
But the group itself won't.
Yeah, we didn't
have
get a table this year.
A
but
table.
we're
Yeah.
planning on being
Okay.
there.
We're going to be there. I'm still iffy, but I know Carson, Landon, and Zach are all heading up. I'm iffy right now because I got some truck maintenance I got to do.
Okay. Is that Ford?
No, I have it's not like it's bad maintenance. It's
Oh,
just
okay.
expensive maintenance.
Okay.
So I'm trying to figure that out and get it all taken care of so I can head up to, otherwise I might try and ride up with Zach, but I don't know what time everyone's trying to leave. And I think I got to work that Friday.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, we might see you there.
Yeah,
then, and
yeah.
then I think I'm the only one going to Trout Fest unless you guys want to come.
Yeah, we'll probably
Um,
come.
Trout Fest, at Trout Fest, the entire group's going to be there too. So you'll get to meet all 6 of us.
How much is a table at Trout Fest?
It's already sold out, bro.
Oh, I
Oh,
think we should all do Baracho Pescador this year. down in Port O'Connor.
Okay, I thought we were signing off the
Oh yeah, I
podcast.
guess we
Yeah.
are.
We can make plans with Cliff. I mean, it's not
Yeah,
riveting listening
mean,
to.
yeah.
listen to that. But all right. Well, thank you.
All
Cliff.
right, Cliff.
Appreciate it.
No
Good to see you.
problem. Good to see y'all.
See you, man.
Yes, sir, brother.